Hey there. So for this project, you're going to need balsa wood and your choice of upholstery fabric for this. And this is like a velveteen, just to let you know. A piece of felt or a cotton ball or something that you can put under the upholstery to kind of make the seat look fluffier. Something that is a circle that is about 2 centimeters in diameter. This happens to work. It can be a little smaller than that because we're actually going to use this for a couple of things. And I'll go into that in a second. So a rubber band or maybe two. You need four of oh, this is only three. Okay, four of the square toothpicks. Your glue, whatever paint you would like, because this is going to have the wood showing on the back of it. So paint or stain, and then various, cutting and measuring materials. So the first thing to do is cut your balsa wood. Now, the balsa wood, when you cut this, I want you to make sure that your grain is going vertically or like kind of up and down. So you're cutting, okay, ultimately, you're going to need a piece that is 2 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters, okay? So ultimately, it will be this size. But I found that even with soaking my balsa wood for a while, if I actually cut this at 2 centimeters first, instead of like say 3 centimeters or a little bit over 2 centimeters, it would sometimes crack as I was bending this, as I was trying to form it. So that's just a little tip. It kind of depends if you have a good quality balsa wood, if that actually is a thing that you can have. I don't know. Or if it's really thin and really bendable, like this one is really, I think I found a thinner piece in my pack. So at any rate, so what I did is I cut mine a little bit bigger. Okay, you can tell. And then this is just how I do it to kind of keep this down in the water. And you want to soak this, I would say, for at least 30 minutes. Now, this hasn't been soaking that long yet, but I'm just trying to kind of demonstrate for you. So once it's been soaking for 30 minutes or so, then you're going to take it and you're going to wrap it around whatever you have found and secure that with a rubber band or two, okay? Just like this. You don't want the rubber band too tight, just tight enough to sort of hold this in place. And the reason you don't want it too tight, of course, is because balsa wood will dent. So I want to kind of make sure that this is nice and flat. So after this dries, or I'm sorry, after this is almost dried, go ahead and take it off of there. And even with soaking this not that long, my piece did work pretty well this time. Okay, but then before it's quite dried, you can actually go and you can cut off your extra part if you had, like I did, I think I said 3. Yeah, so it's at this point in time that you actually could go ahead and say, cut this piece off. It'll cut just fine when it's wet. And once, it's got the bend in it, then you can go ahead and put this back on here. It shouldn't snap. And you can put this back on here and then wait until it's really dry, which I know I didn't time how long it took to dry completely. I'd say probably an hour. It might have been less than that. If you're able to soak it for less time and then get it to go around without, breaking, then, that maybe yours will dry faster. You might consider doing 2 at a time, just in case it does snap or something happens later on. So that's just a little advice concerning that. One thing you can do while you're waiting for that to dry is to go ahead and cut your 4 legs. So all we're doing here is cutting. I got a new one of these. I'm hoping is better. Seems to cut a little bit better. Still doesn't cut straight up and down, but at any rate, you are going to cut all 4 of these at 1.5 centimeters, and that'll be your legs ready to go. The next step while you're waiting for things to dry is to take this item or whatever you found and go ahead and trace a circle around that. You can use your piece of balsa wood. If you're running out of balsa wood, you could use like mat board or so. That's mat board or something like that. And we're just going to cut out the seat. Now, officially what I want to do is I want to cut inside this 2 centimeters. My piece will fit nicely around the 2 centimeters. We know that because we used that for our mold. But we are going to be upholstering this, and because of that, we might want to cut to the inside and make that a little bit smaller. You could make a pattern out of something and make it more like, oh, I'd say 1.8 in diameter, but this is so easy to do, and then just to cut it on the inside, then that's what I'm going to do. So now is time to make your little upholstered seat. So what can be done here is you can use a Sharpie. If you've got felt, sometimes it's a little bit hard to see on the felt, but a Sharpie ought to help you here. And what you're going to do is just cut this felt. Don't cut it to the outside of the line. Cut it to the inside or right on that line, because we don't really want it to go over the edges of this very much, because that's going to add even more bulk to the sides, and we don't really want the sides to be that bulky. Got that the way I want it now. So go ahead and leave yourself quite a bit of seam allowance for this. So you want to go ahead and make your circle approximately, oh gosh, I didn't measure that. I just eyeball it to see. And then I'm going to kind of double check myself by doing this and seeing if I have enough. Like, I could really go a little bigger. So I'm going to give myself even more than this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that circle. The next step is to chip this in so that I can glue a circle nicely. Now, remember, what you want to do is you don't want to go right up against the circle or right up against the seat. You want to cut in about like so. So just shy of it. And you're going to go around, okay? Then once you get all the way around is when you're going to go ahead and you're going to, my hands are in the way here, but you're just going to go ahead and start gluing. And move efficiently, because if you need to adjust this, because they overlap quite a bit, you know, you don't want that to be too dry. So don't start this and then, you know, come back to it. It'll just make it harder, because this is, and well, in my case, it's a thick material, so it's going to take longer to dry. But I want to push that in and push that down and actually add generous amounts of glue to this. And I want to make sure when I pull this over that, like that, I really want to pull that tighter, because I don't want that little cut to show. So I didn't pull it quite tight enough. but you're going to go all the way around and glue that down. So once you have this ready to go, then what you can be doing, and you probably are still waiting for the balsa wood to dry anyway, is that you can go ahead and sand and paint your legs if you want to. When the balsa wood is completely dry, you'll take that off of your form, and this is the one that I was soaking. This one's a little bit better than the first one I did, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. What I want to do, and I want to be very, very gentle about this, I want to always have my finger behind or to the inside, and then I want to go ahead and sand. And I want to sand quite a bit. Really trying to get as much of that grain to flatten out as possible, simply because that's hard to fill in with your paint, and it'll really create such a large looking grain, such an obvious grain on something like this. So I'm really going to, this is still damp, I can tell. I'm really going to sand quite well, okay? And then what I will do is I'll actually, and I've shown you this before, I have kind of a nail polish, whatever you want to do sort of a primer coat. That'll also help to fill in that grain a little bit more. And then you can go ahead and put on your paint or your stain, and it'll be a little bit, it'll just look a little bit nicer. It'll look a little bit more shiny. You could put something like this on the outside as well, on the top coat, I mean. You just need to paint the outside and then the edges. You don't need to paint in here because this is where we're going to have our upholstery. Okay, so it's time to sand and paint. So when you feel confident that your paint is nice and dry on the back here, then you can go ahead and go to the upholstery. So the upholstery would wind up being about the same size as what you cut here, which was 2 centimeters by 5.5. And I'm not going to go ahead and do a seam allowance and turn it under. I'm okay with what the edge of the velveteen is going to look like. But if you want to turn under your edges because you have a different type of fabric, then make sure you leave yourself, when you go to cut this, that you actually leave yourself some seam allowance. Don't forget to do that, just a friendly reminder. Now, another reminder is that if you pull at the loose threads on a piece of fabric, you can get a lovely line to follow and get a perfectly straight cut if you're real careful here. So what you're going to do, and I'll need to kind of clean up this edge, it looks like, with this being velveteen, I think I will need to do that. But at any rate, the next step is not that hard. So you'll cut that, and then just go ahead and use your craft glue or your tacky glue or whatever, and put a nice thick even coat in here and adhere that upholstery. The next step is to go ahead and glue your seat in. Now, look and see, you might have a better side. Like I have a bad side and I have a better side. So it's kind of like the Christmas tree. You put the bad side to the back, you know. So you are gluing upholstery to upholstery. So I would suggest that you use your rubber band or a smaller rubber band, however, and use that to hold this on while it dries, because it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of glue, depending upon your fabric, and it's going to take quite a bit of time. After that's done drying, just turn this upside down and go ahead and glue on your legs. and you're going to kind of eyeball it because they're going to go back here. They're not going to try to line them up if you can. In other words, so that they go straight back when you look at it. And then your legs will look like they're in line. And you can do that just by turning this upside down and gluing like about here and here. Okay, so I'll show you what this looks like when it's finished. But if you're turning off the video, then please remember to subscribe, and thanks for watching. So here's the finished project. And you can tell that this is pretty good for like a dining room table. This is a very small accent chair. If you were actually wanting to use it as an accent chair, you can see it's probably better placed at a table. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Bye-bye.